Welcome to the Wald to Wald show on CRN with Fred Wallen and Ronnie Wald, a completely new concept in talk radio that combines a unique mix of sports, politics, and so much more. You'll find these guys have a take on everything and they hold nothing back. Now with a combined 70 years of broadcast experience and live from Los Angeles, here's Fred and Ronnie.
Welcome one, welcome all to this, the Wald to Wald show. This is Ronnie Wald. Joining me as always, my friend and partner, compatriot, Mr. Fred Wallen, who's also in the Los Angeles area. Go ahead, Fred.
One of the great voices of the Los Angeles Dodgers for many years, Ross Porter with us, and before that, of course, for many, many, many years, the sports guy on Channel 4 KNBC here locally. And Ross, welcome to the show.
Well, good morning, Fred. Ronnie, how are you today? I hope you're dry out there where you are.
No, Ross,
Westlake
not
Village
nearly. I'm up here in the Sunland area, North San Fernando Valley. I believe you're somewhere from Glendale or Pasadena area, but you know we're in the foothills here, and the streets are literally like a river.
Yeah, well, we're out in Calabasas, and it's not too bad out here this morning.
Hey, Ross, let me ask you a question. And I said this not just because you're on the air with us, but I've said this to everybody. All those years that you were on Channel 4 KNBC doing the nightly sportscast, I never, and I mean never, saw you or heard you make a verbal blunder. Now, I realize you're reading a teleprompter, but folks, I've tried to read a teleprompter. It's not easy. How does somebody go through, 20 years or how many years you did it, without ever, and I watch it almost every night, without ever making a verbal blunder? And I really never saw you make one. Your thoughts?
Well, that's a very, very nice compliment, Fred, and I appreciate that. The fact is, I never have used a teleprompter in my life. The simple reason being my eyesight was not such that I could read it unless they made it in giant print. But that's very nice of you to say that. I'm sure I did have some nights where there were verbal blunders, but we tried the best we could just to get through it. And we had so many good times over there because I work with such great people like Tom Brokaw and Tom Snyder, and then of course this kid came from the east that became our weekend guy, some fellow named Brian Gumble.
Let me throw you one more question that Ronnie will take over. Sid Caesar passed away a couple of weeks ago, and this is going to sound crazy, but the first thing that I flashed on was the following. Ross Porter doing a Beverly Hills high school game with
wonderful.
Sid Caesar's youngster playing center for Beverly Hills High School 40 years ago. You remember that?
That's right, and it's interesting you say that, Fred, because I recall that to my wife and to some others this week when Sid passed away. You remember who my color man was that day?
Mr. Hawkins?
It wasn't Tommy Hawkins?
No.
Sandy Koufax.
Oh.
Was it really?
Yeah, Sandy was with me the first year we did those games, and he and I went down to Aviation High School to do Beverly Hills and Aviation. I don't think Paul Westphal was playing then for Aviation, but you're absolutely right. Rick Caesar, who was 6'8", was the star of the Beverly Hills team, and he had a marvelous day. He got like 35 points or something. And what stands out most of all, fellas, is the fact that game, Beverly Hills, I think, won it 92-91, and the game went either 4 or 5 overtimes.
Wow, 40 years ago. Ronnie Wald, you're on with Ross Porter.
Hey, Ross, did they allow you to finish the game? It wasn't like the Heidi Bowl or anything like that. You were able to finish, probably ran into the local news with that game.
Well, we finished because the game started like at noon on a Saturday.
All right.
And the problem, though, guys, was getting to the car after the game because the whole audience was stopping Sandy for autographs.
Understandably.
We're talking to Ross Porter, former Dodger announcer. Ronnie, you're on with Ross.
Yes, and what a thrill for me because I've enjoyed you for all these years. In a moment, I want to ask you about all your great Dodger broadcast sidekicks. But first, I can't get it out of my mind all the time you spent on the KNBC News with Tom Snyder going back and forth with your light banter. I mean, it was happy talk to the extreme, and he always found a way to crack you up, Ross. I mean, there was something about it between you two. You could have been a comedy team.
Well, thank you. We had some great times, and none of that was rehearsed. I didn't know what he was going to say. He didn't know what I was going to say. One night, I think Kelly Lang was off, and they had me do the weather, and I, with him, and we turned it in. It was like a Friday night, and there was a football weekend coming up the next day, and I did everything according to where the big games were, like Ohio State, and I remember having some line about Woody Hayes and something that he had done, and I just made it up, but it was fun. And when Snyder came to Channel 4, it all turned around rating-wise because Channel 4 had been trailing Channel 2 for years, but Snyder, within a short period of time, it seemed like, turned that around, and we had some great times, and I'm very sad that we lost Tom a couple years ago.
Well, Ross, now with that association with the Dodgers, what a run. I mean, a remarkable 28-year association with the Dodgers. If you could briefly, a little synopsis, description of your broadcast partners, of course, Vinny and Jerry Doggett, Rick Monday, and the legendary Don Drysdale. That's
right. You've named them all, and they were wonderful to work with. We kiddingly said that Vin and Jerry and I, and we were together for 11 years at the start, we always said, we spend more time with each other eating dinners than we do with our wives because we're either on the road or at home for, 6-7 months of the year. And we just had some great times, and I look back on it with great fondness, and we were very, very shocked to lose Don when we did in 1993. But, it was just a terrific run, as you say, and it was my honor to be aboard with that crew because they were the best.
And Jerry Doggett had this statement, we read this just a couple years before he passed on, that he never had an argument ever with Vinny in the booth. Now, knowing how egos are in the broadcasting realm, could you believe that to have been true, Ross?
Oh, it's absolutely true, Ronnie. They were together 32 years, even going back to Brooklyn for 1 year or a year and a half, and that's true. They were like brothers. They played golf together a lot. They socialized a lot out on the road. It was quite a relationship between those two, and Jerry was just great to me. When I got there, they made me the number 2 man, and he had been number 2. And it never surfaced any resentment he had for that. He was as kind to me as anybody could be. We'd go to cities, and he would give me tips like, over here is the best place to get a haircut. Over here is the best place to have a bite to eat after the game. He'd go with me on some of those occasions, and he was just tremendous. And Vinny was just Vinny. He was the best of all time.
And it's hard to conceive that, knowing Fred and I are in different locations, and we can't even stay in the same room together for 5 minutes without argument.
How did you guys get together?
Fred?
Well, we've known each other sort of for a long, long time, and Facebook and whatever, and social media, and Ronnie's politics and my politics are 180 degrees apart. But we both love sports, so we figured it would be a pretty good novel concept to do sports and politics on the same show. The sports we might agree with, the politics we're definitely not going to agree with, but certainly I think that's how we got along and together. Hey, Ross, can you stay with us another segment, because I got a couple of questions for you?
Yeah, certainly, and I guess my friend Mike Horn put you all together, huh?
And Mike Horn put us all together because he's an old guy who knows how to do it well. Very old guy. He's 87 now. 1-800-336-2225. 1-800-336-2225. It's Wald to Wald Sports and more right here on CRN Digital Talk.
In Los Angeles, everybody, it's the Wald to Wald show. It's Ronnie and Fred. Ronnie Wald right here in a very wet and drenched Los Angeles situation this morning. Hope everyone gets through it all right. Joining us, he provided for me, and I can only speak personally, and I know possibly Fred would just echo my sentiments. Ross Porter, the 28-year broadcaster of the Dodgers, really a soundtrack to our lives. And Ross, we're so glad you're with us and you could hold over into the second segment.
Happy to be with you guys, and my pleasure.
All right. Ross, have you ever checked the odds of having 2 sets of twins. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Has anyone ever? Ross Porter has 2 sets of twins. Give us their names. I'm just amazed by that. And do you know anyone else out there, on Mother Earth that has had that same occurrence?
I'll tell you, Ronnie. I really. The strange thing is that a girl who was in my graduating high school class in Shawnee, Oklahoma, later had 2 sets of twins and a set of triplets.
Lord.
And I couldn't get over that. 7 children and 3 pregnancies. But no, it's been a wonderful time, and my wife Lynn and I have now been married for 52 years.
Congratulations.
What really shocked us so recently, fellows, was the fact that Ross and Rosalind, our 2 older ones, turned 50. And when we got married, I don't think we ever visualized the day that they would be 50. And the other 2, Melinda and Wes, they're going to be 45 in June. And we're proud of all of them. We have 11 grandchildren. 9 of them are boys, so I've got my whole team, but nobody in the bullpen. And it's just been a terrific life, and I have God to thank for all that.
Fred?
Hey, Ross, let me. I got to throw you a question because you were so close to the Dodgers. We have a major problem right now here in Southern California with Time Warner Cable, the Dodgers, and everybody else. I think the Dodgers, first of all, should have held 1 game a week out for local television. There are 15% of the public here in Southern California who can't afford cable or satellite. That's point A. It's not my money, but I'm going to throw that out anyways. And B, we have a major problem now because you know and I know that Time Warner Cable will not make a deal with every single other cable system or satellite system. At this point, Dish still has not carried the Lakers through Time Warner Cable. Ross, again, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I mean, you're a viewer. You care about the Dodgers. Spring training is on. I want to be able to watch every game. I've got DirecTV. I can't do so. I'm upset. I mean, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, Fred, and you know this, I'm sure, but the people should realize that this is the first year in the history of the Los Angeles Dodgers that there are no over-the-air, as we call it, telecasts, which is what you're talking about.
Yep.
No more Channel 11, Channel 5, Channel 9, Channel 13, whatever it is. You might see them on Sunday night on ESPN or Wednesday night, and occasionally you're going to see them on Fox and on Saturday afternoon, but that's going to be it. And it is going to be a difficult time, I think, because I think there's going to be the continued friction between Time Warner in this case and the other cable companies. I was very interested, guys, the other day. I looked for one thing on the Internet and couldn't find the answer. I later found the answer by calling somebody who knew, and my question was this. What percentage of households in Southern California will have Time Warner where you'll be able to see the Dodgers? I was shocked to learn that the answer was 10 to 13%.
Yeah. That's unbelievable. See, but I blame the Dodgers for that. I know they wanted to make the money, but didn't they have to think ahead? I mean, if they just saw what happened with the Lakers, DirecTV didn't take the Lakers until 2 years ago, and Dish still has not carried the Lakers. Other cable systems still are not carrying the Lakers through Time Warner. I'm not saying who's right or who's wrong between Time Warner and the other systems, but we knew this was going to happen, didn't we?
I think they realize it could be a problem, but Fred, when somebody offers you $8.3 billion over 25 years, you probably don't turn it down. And you look back at that now, and we all laughed or looked at it and, with kind of cautious eyes when they spent $2.1 billion, the Guggenheim Group, to buy the Dodgers. Well, do you think they knew in advance this was coming up? $8.3 billion? I believe so. Who's laughing now?
Yeah.
Ross, we have 60 seconds. I just wanted to ask you, unceremoniously, we all were quite sad as Dodger fans and listeners about your leaving the team. Have you repaired your relationship with the Dodgers? Do you feel comfortable about attending Dodger games and being around the Dodger family?
Good question, Ronnie. And they came to me last summer and said, we'd like to get you involved again, and the first thing we'd like to do is invite you to throw out the first pitch at a game. And I did that at the end of August last year.
Wonderful.
And they were very good to me. They gave us a suite for our family, and it was just a wonderful day, and I appreciated that very much. And yeah, I feel better about it because there's been a break now as far as ownership's concerned.
All right, Ross Porter, thank you so much for the visit, and all the best. Many more good years to you. Thanks for taking time to be on the Wall to Wald Show.